The I+Icon USA family of companies has always believed in doing things the right way, and we strive to comply with all government regulations for our business. I+Icon USA is an at-will employer. The employment relationship between the company and the employee is an at-will relationship. Nothing in this video or in the employee handbook is intended to bind the company contractually, and in particular, you may not rely on any provision as limiting the company's discretion to discipline or discharge you. The company may terminate an individual's employment for any legal reason without prior notice. In the same way, an individual may resign from his or her employment at any time with or without cause or notice. In 2007, the federal government established rules for federal contractors in regards to ethical behavior in the workplace to prevent the violation of criminal and civil laws and to promote a culture of ethical behavior among federal contractors. Under these regulations, the company must do the following: establish a written code of business ethics and conduct, implement an ongoing business ethics awareness and compliance program, institute an internal control system, designate a compliance officer. Explain the consequences when employees violate the code. Failure to comply with the code can result in serious consequences for the company. This includes suspension or disqualification from government contracts and/or possible jail time for certain officers and employees. The following are the key elements of our code. Anti-competitive activities. Never discuss matters of price, market share, business strategies or sales policies with competitors, agree to price fixing, or require a vendor to purchase something prior to purchasing from them. Bribery and gifts. I+Icon employees may give or receive gifts to or from vendors, subcontractors, clients, etc. that are valued at less than $200. Exceptions for gifts valued at over $200 can be granted by the compliance officer. Fraud. Always be honest when communicating with clients, vendors, suppliers, and subcontractors. Theft or embezzlement. Theft, embezzlement of money or property belonging to I+Icon clients or vendors is prohibited. Services for personal benefit. I+Icon employees cannot solicit services from vendors or subcontractors unless it is voluntary and at a fair market value. Confidential information. All trade secrets, technical and financial data, estimates, bids, drawings, etc. of I+Icon clients and vendors must be handled with care to avoid improper disclosure. Construction quality. Only the highest level of work is acceptable, and any defects discovered should be reported, not concealed. Weapons and firearms. Weapons and firearms are prohibited on all premises, job sites, and vehicles. Company property. I+Icon reserves the right to inspect any property, including computers and vehicles. I+Icon property may not be used without prior approval from senior management. Protection of environment. I+Icon will comply with all laws, regulations, and procedures to avoid misuse or contamination of the land, air, or water. It is your obligation to report suspected violations of our code. You can report it in one of the following ways: tell your immediate supervisor, tell the company's compliance officer, call our ethics hotline, which is administered by an independent third party. You can find the phone number for the hotline posted on the bulletin boards at all project and company locations. Reports can be anonymous and will trigger an internal investigation by the company. You can get updates about the investigation through the phone number. It is very important to understand that our code and government regulations prohibit any retaliation against you by the company for reporting a suspected violation. You have whistleblower protection. As you start your work with the I+Icon USA family of companies, please remember the following. All employees must comply with the code. Failure to do so can result in disciplinary action. Everyone must report actual or suspected violations. Failure to do so can also result in disciplinary action. Abide by laws that govern your work activities. Act ethically and responsibly. Cooperate with internal or external audits. Ask questions if you see something that doesn't look or feel right. You will not get in trouble for reporting something. You see and hear things on the job every day. If you see something that does not look right, we want and expect you to report it. Remember, I+Icon is a company that wants to do things the right way, and we need your help to ensure this. Additional company policies. Zero tolerance for violence. Workplace violence of any kind will not be tolerated. Any employee who participates in workplace-related violence will be subject to disciplinary action up to and including immediate termination. This includes, but is not limited to, such actions as abusive or offensive comments, threats, stalking, or aggressive and/or unwelcome physical contact. Employees are encouraged to report any suspected violations of this policy to their supervisors, human resources, the company hotline, and/or call 911 as appropriate. Punctuality, attendance, and absence. You are expected to come to work on a regular basis and to be on time. Continued occurrences of lateness or absenteeism will result in discipline, up to and including termination. An employee must notify his or her supervisor as soon as possible and no later than the start of their shift if he or she is not able to report to work or will be late. An employee who fails to call in to report his or her absence directly to his or her manager or an appropriately designated representative of the manager on 3 consecutive days is considered to have voluntarily terminated employment. Disciplinary policy. We endorse the concept of progressive disciplinary action, but may not always follow it if circumstances do not warrant progressive discipline. The disciplinary action may vary depending on the nature, frequency, and gravity of the offense. We reserve the right to discharge an employee without prior discipline or warning when such actions are considered to be in the best interest of the company. Family and Medical Leave, FMLA. Employees who have been employed by the company for at least 1 year, has actually worked at least 1,250 hours during the previous 12 months, and who works at a location where there are at least 50 employees within a 75-mile radius is entitled to 12 weeks of unpaid, job-protected leave during a 12-month period for any of the following reasons. 1. To care for your child after birth or after placement for adoption or foster care. 2. To care for your spouse, child, parent, or a child for whom you stand in loco parentis who has a serious health condition. 3. Because you have a serious health condition that makes you unable to perform your job. 4. Because of any qualifying exigency arising out of the fact that a child, spouse, or parent is on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces or has been called to active duty status in support of a military operation in a foreign country. You should contact Human Resources if you need more information about FMLA. Other leaves. Parental leave is associated with the birth of an employee's own child or the placement of a child with the employee in connection with adoption. This leave is not charged against the employee's paid time off, and the employee is eligible for 2 weeks of paid parental leave. All full-time hourly employees qualify under this policy after 1 year of employment. Bereavement leave is provided to full-time employees. Up to 5 days are paid for the death of a spouse or child. Up to 3 days are paid for the death of an immediate family member. For a complete definition of family member, please refer to this policy in the handbook. Holiday pay is given to all full-time employees. The company observes 8 holidays. For a complete list, please refer to this policy in the handbook. Military leave is granted for eligible employees called into active or inactive military duty training. If you need to leave for military service, call Human Resources. Jury duty will be paid, provided proper documentation is submitted. Information systems. All information systems resources are owned by the company and represent a work tool to be used in the services of the company. Employees should not expect privacy with regard to the company's information systems. Employees should use the same good judgment and common sense when using electronic communications as with written or spoken communications. Any communication which is private, confidential, or personal should not be placed on the company's information system. You should always make sure that the business information contained on the Internet email messages and other transmissions is accurate, appropriate, ethical, and legal. It is strictly prohibited to view, store, download, or circulate material which is sexually explicit or pornographic, or which may otherwise be considered offensive or abusive. Social networking. Unless specifically instructed to do so, employees are not authorized to speak on behalf of the company. Employees are reminded to protect the confidential and proprietary information of the company and its clients. If you identify yourself as an employee of the company on a personal post on the Internet, then your postings will have a reflection on the company. We ask you state your views that are expressed are your own and not those of the company. EEO Policy Statement. Employment decisions at I+Icon USA family of companies will be based on merit, qualifications, and abilities. I+Icon does not discriminate in employment opportunities or practices on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions, national origin, disability, age, gender, family care status, protected veteran status, marital status, genetic information, sexual orientation, or any other characteristic protected by law. Harassment of any individual for any reason will not be tolerated. I+Icon will make reasonable accommodations for qualified individuals with known disabilities unless doing so would result in an undue hardship. Employees shall not be subjected to reprisal, harassment, intimidation, threats, coercion, or discrimination because they file a complaint, assist or participate in any investigation, compliance review, hearing, or any other activity related to the administration of this policy or Equal Employment Opportunity Affirmative Action Statute. Oppose any unlawful act or practice, exercise any other protected employment right. The policy governs all aspects of employment, including selection, job assignment, compensation, discipline, termination, and access to benefits and training. Affirmative Action Program. I+Icon agrees to take affirmative action to employ, advance in employment, and otherwise treat qualified individuals without discrimination in all employment practices based on their status as veterans or on their physical or mental disability. All qualified applicants are welcome to apply for open jobs. Additionally, all employees are encouraged to refer qualified minorities, females, individuals with disabilities, and protected veterans to the company for application. Sexual Harassment Discrimination Policy. Sexual harassment is a violation of I+Icon's rules of conduct. Unwelcome sexual advancements, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature constitute sexual harassment. Sexual harassment does not mean occasional compliments of a socially acceptable nature. Policy prohibiting other forms of harassment, discrimination. I+Icon prohibits discrimination against its employees because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, age, gender, genetics, creed, veteran status, or sexual orientation. Any activities or conduct that relate to these attributes is a violation of I+Icon's policies. Avenues of appeal and complaint. I+Icon considers harassment of any kind to be a major offense which can result in suspension or discharge of the offender. The avenue of appeal or complaint procedure is posted on all company bulletin boards. Anyone who has comments or questions concerning the Equal Employment Opportunity Program should contact the EEO officer whose contact information is posted on the bulletin boards in all offices and at all job sites. All EEO policies can be found in the Employee Handbook and are posted on the bulletin boards at all project and company locations.